It is 13 minutes past 9 a.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're coming to you live from the Nile Avenue. You are watching UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chamdisha. Today in studio, I have a guest who is here, a criminal psychologist, one that is well acquainted with the issues of the youth because he still as well sits within the age of 18 to 35 according to the East African community. But for Uganda, we're actually described as the youth if you're between the age of 18 to 30 years. Now, the youth in Uganda as well constitute 77% of the population. They're affected by different issues, and there's so much going on even after COVID-19. We're here to address those issues, but also understand why the crime rate is so high amongst the youth. Welcome once again. Good morning. Mr. Rugamba, you ready?
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Are you a youth?
Yeah, just 26.
Okay.
I'm
Are you proud to be a Ugandan youth?
Yes, I'm proud. Of course, you know, all the benefits that comes with being a Ugandan, with a part of Africa. That goes with weight. I'm really very happy, and I've never regretted in my life for having been born in Uganda. So I'm very, very happy and comfortable here. And I believe if some of you out there who have traveled there can actually add to this, we are far better than any of other countries economically, and some other aspects we could be still struggling in some way or the other, but naturally I think we were one of the best, if you know the best.
What are some of the issues you think the youth are struggling with in Uganda?
Well, I would prefer doing East Africa.
Okay.
Because me being a Ugandan and from a nation where the leader is the head of East Africa, I should say today. You remember the statement from Ruto in Kenya and what we did in Rwanda recently when he was there. So I would prefer to include all those people, all those community as we having this discussion. Well, there are a lot of challenges facing youth today in East Africa. The fact that we are Africans, and in a way all the other technology took some time to get here. We had the influence of colonialists, which Mzee has struggled to see that will get better, like the whole region. A lot has of course happened, like education, we've been struggling. I believe you've realized, and I think that's why I decided to appoint Mama Janet as the Minister of Education, because we really needed, you know, education plays a very, very big role in lives of people and changing lives. So we faced that challenge, and I think as we're moving and doing some other good planning, we shall be better in that field of education. But to me, that's, I think, the most challenge we face in East Africa. Because, you know, all that comes with one being an ignorant person or with little education. There is a stage they call a G class. I don't know whether it's mentioned here in Uganda, but at some level of education, one is believed to be well off in life, like to live a life that is of a good standard. What
age is that?
Not an age.
It's a class?
Yeah, class of education.
Okay.
So that's why I brought it when I talked of education. Then the other challenges, of course, you see the economies are struggling, and then youth, we do not have enough finances, like our economies are struggling from there. And then as developing countries, there are a lot of challenges that comes with that, but principally it's education. Then the other one is ignorance. I do not believe that we are poor. We are not at all. Africans are not poor, but they are ignorant in a way that they feel they are very okay with living with less. You may find this as a joke, but it is, because I studied it and I know it. There are people in local settings, like Masaka, because I'm well covered with Masaka, who wake up and be like, if I go to the garden today, do some little work, and then I come back home, get my food, and that's all. But really, that sounds like of 90s and 80s. It shouldn't. So those are the two basic challenges we have here. Naturally, I think we are ignorant in a way, and we're trying to see how we can kick that out. And then the other thing is the education. Those two. That's where all the other derive from.
Now, you talked about education, and one of the Sustainable Development Goals actually states or stipulates that it is important for us to be able to achieve 2030, to be able to achieve quality education. It is beautiful that we've gone somewhere, and we're somewhere when it comes to education. I think a few years ago, Uganda had one of the best education systems. But again, settling, you talked about ignorance, but again, we sort of also have a culture where we tend to settle for things, and we just let things go on as they are. Now, because of that, we've seen that quality education, having an education is different from quality education. There's so many people that have an education, but the quality is questionable. We had programs where we have UPE, we have all these, and you're talking about it as being a big problem. But now, even post-COVID-19, we have so many children or youth not wanting to go back to school, or not even believing that the education they're going to receive is important in any way. What do you have to say about that?
Well, first of all, the education in Uganda, the system, is not bad. I won't say that it's the best, but it's not bad at all. And like like other countries, I would say here in East Africa, making a comparison with Europe, because I know it better. Uganda is doing well, and they are trying to reprogram the curriculum, where I actually interacted with some professors of arts in Makerere. We do not have the best curriculum, but as we head towards 2030, we shall have found a way of changing things and have, I think, one of the best education in East Africa. But as per now, what we have is fairly good. I should say that. Yeah.
It's still questionable for so many people because, like you said, technology is one of those things that has sort of advanced different countries, and in Uganda we're still lacking. What do you also have to say about that?
Technology, you know, it's not something you would actually blame an African for. Technology has just gotten here. To me, the way I understand technology, and we've just gotten technology in Africa, so I wouldn't actually want to blame anyone in Uganda for having delayed that. Nobody delayed. And if you've looked at the fountain of Bona's speeches has been making, is emphasizing on ICT. Like he wants, and I believe they have put some good money into that field. We want to develop it first because Ugandans are bright people. They would easily embrace it, and you would find when Uganda has changed completely. Like I have my boys of Statmum Digital. If you looked at what they are doing, they are designing an application like you can see Twitter or Facebook that will be Ugandan, so that would not depend on those people. And soon, I think when they finish, they shall be launching it. And I believe like in a month or two. So with that help from the government and the effort that the president has put, I believe soon Uganda we shall be one of those countries in Africa that has embraced technology and developed it. But really we are not actually connected anywhere to technology, and so things have just gotten here. So education, but we are getting better in Zay's presence, and at least I know everybody is happy. Those ones who are not happy, they are just ungrateful. But even a kid can see this.
Now, the other issue that also affects or has pushed the youth into a different set of society, into a different kind of place is poverty. And this has also been exacerbated because of COVID-19. So post-COVID-19, you talked about how the economies are struggling. We've also, the number of youth who are struggling because they're poor, the ones who are trying to look for jobs because they're poor, the number has gone so high. So what do you have to say about that? Because that's one of the issues, the fact that you're a criminal psychologist, that's one of the issues that has pushed so many of them to actually continuously participate in acts of violence, gangs, and all these other things that are referred to as crime. Well,
about poverty, I will start with this. I don't like the way the opposition people were attributing poverty to the government, or in particular to the president and those NRA people. It's a global issue. If you looked at the SDGs, I think it's the first poverty. They wanted to zero like down here, the poverty. So it's not a national issue or like a regional to East Africa. It's a global issue. UN looks at it actually as a first principle on the SDGs. And in Uganda, crimes, if I'm to relate it to poverty and what have you, I would still use the same scale we would use on an international grid. Why? If you looked at our security today in Uganda, I believe we are one of the most in human rights books to be the custodians. We've respected it so much, but to the contrary, the opposition haven't realized it. And I think there was some inefficiency in the media. I do not know, and whoever is responsible to make sure that is not the case. But we've really tried so much. So poverty, with all the program that government has put in place, you've seen actually recently when the president was in Masindi telling people to okulembeka, okuleja, that's what they call it in their language. Okuleja, you network when you network and you have a good circle of people around you, whether from church or from wherever you are, any community or something. Trust me, you'll get out of poverty. Because you not wake up one day and be like, I want to have this, I want to own this, when you haven't. You know how they attain wealth, or like how they get out of poverty. If you don't have education, you have to work so hard and make a network. When you don't have people around you, you'll have actually no ways of extending, and you have no money, so you'll be a poor person. Didn't go to school and see. Yes. So Ugandans, there are things that they don't give attention. Yes, they are the basics actually why people here, some of them are still poor. But we are doing well.
Rugamba, an average Ugandan lives on $1 a day. That's 3,600. An average family in Uganda has about 5 family members, father, mother, and the children. It's not even that people are not working again. You've also heard of people struggling with unemployment, being one of the biggest issues even for the youth. That people are now looking at actually education. You finish, yes, your degree at Makerere University or whichever university, I'm not just highlighting that. You finish and your documents are literally just documents. If you're not connected or there's no Gamba Nogu, there's no way you're going to get that.
There's nothing like Gamba Nogu in Uganda actually. You people, just make a good network like I told you. Make a good network around you. It's that network actually that should be called Gambanogu. Because if I wanted somebody at UBC and I have someone to call, if I wanted someone in the Ministry of Finance or somewhere, I have someone to call. If I wanted someone at a certain institution of learning or something, and I have someone to call, I'll get that service. And
Rugamba, you are talking about someone to call because you're in the central part of you. Haven't you met actually people who are even scared of going to parliament? Yet you're allowed to go there actually if you have a reason or something.
But why would a person who went to school fear to go to a parliament?
That is why there's almost different categories of now Ugandans. There are those who are too deprived or do not have certain things, that certain things seem like opportunities, where actually it is your right, you feel like you're not even deserving.
But this is a general issue. It's not only about Ugandans. Right
now, even about poverty, you're talking about how it's not even a political thing, that it's opposition versus the ruling government. It is because so many Ugandans, I think you saw even during COVID, that the government had to step up and feed people because people did not have money to take care of themselves.
Yes, so like I told you, with the assistance from the UN and those other international institutions, we are trying to see. I'm part of it because it requires collective effort. And I also think UBC, not actually thinking you are part of this, yes. So we need to all make sure that we help our people in whichever way we can. But first of all, we need to have enough information from our people and to our people. There has to be communication. And actually, if there is something that government should do or like look at, it should be interacting with the people from the ground. From the ground. Like you said, somebody would be having papers from Makele and they are not working anywhere. Like, but it's an issue here in Asia and everywhere. Just make a network wherever you go.
There's no justification for because Rwanda is going through something, then Uganda can also do something. I believe you can always do something different about that.
Let me give you an example from the village. If I'm in the village, I'll give an example in Masaka. From the local setting, and I do not have people around me, or I grow my matoke or maize and not have where to sell it, or I not communicate, or I'm like disconnected from the rest of the world, I'll certainly be a poor person. This is it. Communicate and make a network. If that thinks into Ugandans' brains, people will have better lives and will be well off actually. They will not even disturb the government.
Do you think the people, because we, even as the youth, we have leaders, we have youth members of parliament, and the president made sure that all the 5 regions have youth members of parliament. Do you think they've really done anything for the youth?
Not fully, but they have tried. They have tried, and I wouldn't want to pin anybody. But for the president's case, he has actually exceeded the limit where he should have stopped. That's why you've always had about telling him you need to step aside and somebody comes in. But a person with a good heart wouldn't actually really leave somebody when they are seeing them drowning. That's why actually he's still here. So all those leaders that haven't helped in that field of helping the youth and seeing that Uganda gets better, I think as Ugandans, like, not because you have the right to choose who is the leader, and I don't think it's the president who appoints. If somebody hasn't served you to the capacity, you have your rights. You go vote and that person won't come back. But today, if I say that a member of parliament or a group leader somewhere, an initiative like don't do this, and really I would be lying. But the projects actually is not one into that field. They are in place, and I believe if there is something that should be done, it should be monitoring, a strict mode where they can monitor everyone and even bring the members of parliament to ask. I think that's how we can best have this like done. And for the good of Ugandans, yes.
There's so many programs that the government has put in place to help address issues or challenges that are faced by the youth, that the youth face. whether it's a youth lively program, and amounts, billions of shillings have actually been injected in these projects. But when it comes to accountability, there's very little to show. What do you have to say about that?
In first place, it's the responsibility of the citizens of Uganda, or the community, the societies, the first beneficiaries, to monitor. Because if you wait for the government officials, who some of them I believe are corrupt, to come and monitor or like find what's happening, it really becomes difficult. But if Ugandans do the network I told you and make sure that everything happens for them, it won't really be a problem. It won't be a problem at any time.
So why do you think, even for the times where people have taken accountability into their hands and said, no, this leader has actually been corrupt, something billions has gone missing, why do you think then these people haven't been held accountable? The leaders, the ones who are in charge, yes, the youth have actually, I mean, the citizens have complained and said, this one, we don't believe that they've done what they're supposed to do, but they're still not held accountable. Why do you think so?
No, I think there is a process. There's a process. We have the judiciary. We respect the human rights and what have you, so we wouldn't just jump to Sharon and take you to Luzira or to Chitaria for somebody alleged or said you took money. In the due course, like what I can say, I heard they are investigating. If there are those cases, and I remember one where like some government official took the money, and it has been the case actually all over the world. It's not only here. Ugandans should know. Everywhere in the world it happens. But as we're waiting for the court to make the ruling, Ugandans should monitor and make sure they're in charge of everything, because that's how the government gets to know that so and so did this and this. And if the government delays, they can come up and like, me, I would actually support people going to somebody's house and be like, this one took all like the cow, like at the district level, took this much from this and this. If you have enough evidence, provide it to police and trust me. But saying that people have taken people's money and haven't been charged, that's not right. That's not right.
Well,
it's just said, like, but it's not so.
Well, like the Constitution states, in Uganda, you are innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
We've seen so many of these cases, and we hope that they're held accountable for whatever they've done. We'll take a short commercial break, and we're still talking about the issues that the youth are facing, who our youth is, and how they can jump out of this chain so that they're able to sustain and also contribute to the development of the country.
UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Susan, I want to propose to Rose. Yes, and this time I am serious.
Have you guys had sex?
Duh, of course.
And have you had sex without using condoms?
Hey, nga you're curious.
I'm more concerned. Are you having sex with other people?
Hey, hello, is this an interview or what?
No, just things you should think about. Do you know Rose's HIV status?
Okay, this is serious. Should I be worried?
It is actually serious. Do you know your HIV status?
I think I am safe. Many times we get into situations that put us at risk of HIV. However, the first step to ending HIV is getting tested and knowing your results.
It's Time Up HIV. Call 0800-211-046 or text 8080 toll-free for more information about how to prevent HIV.
This message is brought to you by Ministry of Health with support from USAID.
Our wetlands are being lost at a very alarming rate. Wetlands have become the most threatened ecosystem 3 times faster than the forest. With 35% loss globally since 1970, a quarter of wetland-dependent species are near extinction. This is a very serious loss to our economy and natural resource-based country. The government of Uganda is determined to reverse this trend Therefore, my ministry calls upon fellow Ugandans to contribute to the conservation and sustainable use of the limited resources. Ugandans, stop cultivating, putting up buildings, and dumping in the wetlands.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chomdisha. And of course with us in studio is Mr. Rugamba Yowe, a criminal psychologist, and discussing the youth, their plight, and also now getting into the topic of increasing crime rate amongst the youth. One of the things that you continuously see on the internet is that because of poverty, the youth have sort of walked into crime has become an easier thing because they need to fend for themselves, because they want to be able to take care of their family, and because also culturally in Uganda, when your parents sort of fail, you as a child, you're supposed to take over the responsibility and start taking care of your siblings or a home. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the increasing crime rate, is it really increased? Well, depending from who has compiled the report or who has brought it up, but from what I understand, Uganda has one of the best security in Africa. And I don't know how it has increased, but one of the causes, if I may mention, like politics, principally in the urban centers. Like there is a way opposition made people think that the government hasn't done anything to help them get out of poverty or what and what. And what they did eventually was to get involved into those criminal activities. Like you'd see people beating up others and what have you, but I don't think it has increased in Uganda. We don't have a high crime rate. It was only during the election time that there was that confusion, and it was, I understand it was, from what I investigated, it was brought up by those individuals into politics who wish they would have their wills be conceived by the population, and fortunately it didn't. So I don't think crime rate has increased in Uganda.
Uganda, it has increased because recently we had cases, for example, even on the Northern Bypass, and the police was even warning people and showing them ways of walking out of situations in case something happened. For example, that when you get a puncture at the Northern Bypass, just keep on driving until you get somewhere where there's light. There have been cases where people have been murdered. There have been cases where even in some of the slum areas in Uganda.
Well, police coming out, or the government coming out and like organize the community to prevent crime, like those were measures. Do not drive at this time and stop at this end. When you get a puncture, when you're Northern Bypass, don't stop. Because they didn't want, people to get issues. That's because there
were increasing issues happening on those very roads.
And that's what I told you, because of politics. You remember when people said Kawempe should be a republic? Do you remember that? So whatever that is happening on Northern Bypass, all that happened, but I'm sure the police had to see that settled. I no longer actually hear cases from Northern Bypass.
But it was mushrooming, so that's what we're talking about. That there was an increase of cases on there.
And it was halted, yes, it was stopped.
But there was an increase.
Like it would be, and that's life, that's how it would be. So I do not believe that at any time, actually, if I may bring out this view from my course of study or my field of life, you would understand it better. Never in life will a day break and there is no crime. That will never happen. It's not only here in Uganda, but on a global scale. There must be crimes. What makes Uganda a beautiful country and very convenient for everyone to visit? It's because we have good security. If crime rate had increased, like you said, we wouldn't have seen the increment in tourism and what have you. People feel very safe here. And locally here, I'm telling you, we are very safe. It's very rare to go to a country and you walk on a street, a cosmopolitan street like this one, where there are very many people from different areas with your phone in their hands. But in Uganda, you can do it, and the murders,
in Uganda, you can walk on the streets with your phone in the hand?
Yeah, in some spots, like the way it would be anywhere. Like I don't know if you've been to Kenya or if you've been to some of those other countries, but that's a minor issue. Like if you're careless with your phone and somebody picks it, really that shouldn't cause alarm actually to the national level that a police hasn't helped or the government hasn't done this and this. But like I said, there should always be crime. That can't be changed. But Uganda, the security here, actually for me, I give them 99%. They have performed. Crime hasn't increased in Uganda. That one I decline. But the way it is on a national grid, so it is in Uganda. But we are doing better than other countries.
Why do you think the youth engage in these behaviors that are considered crime?
Well,
for example, the mushrooming gangs, you know, different.
Yeah, from my view, yes, and from a psychological perspective. Yes, perspective. People commit crimes with different intentions. Like one would steal because, or they would commit a crime because they never went to school and they could not interpret a poster somewhere that don't dump something here or don't urinate here, and you get caught. If somebody like pulled a phone from you and they ran away, might be that's how they have grown up from the street. They have always heard about it happening, and so people commit crimes because of different reasons. But if I may put it into a general perspective, majority of the youth, since we're talking about the youth, commit crimes because the condition around them is not conducive enough. And that conduciveness also is determined by what is going around in the environment. Like you said, now on social media, if you look at social media, people post content on social media, and girls feel like if I don't go into prostitution, I will not manage this. I think you've seen that chat trending on social media. They mentioned some girl's name who earns 500,000 Ugandan shillings, sleeps in a house of 1 million, and has an iPhone 13 and what have you, and said, oh yeah, Sobola Uganda. Like, so you would see, so what goes around in the environment, like what you feed your minds and what have you, most of the times push people to commit crimes. Mm-hmm. Like the influence when people around you, of course, they get involved into, let's say, for girls, prostitution, or they are thieves, or they are dealing into drugs, and so that's how people have gotten into, you know, into crimes, and that's how people have started. But there is nothing so exceptional or like would hold Ugandan there that they are criminal in nature. Mm. But it's something normal, like I said. There should always be crime. That's where there is police, you know, put things into order. That's why we have the UPDF, the strongest in Africa. I believe you know that. And so crimes are always committed depending on the environment and what have you. Yeah.
Now, what are some of the crimes that the youth have engaged in, as from a psychologist perspective?
Drugs, most. Drugs and cybercrime. Like youth, most of the times tend, and actually principally ones who have accessed some good education, they want to see life, I think, on a silver plate, or in a way, it's I think, naturally set in us that whatever good thing we see, we want to have it. There is that insatiable desire, and it's actually nature. And it's not only with the youth, even with men. Today you see this one is beautiful, and I think it's the same with the women. The other one is beautiful, and that's how life is. So you find people committing crimes, others by influence, others like I won't say by virtue of their understanding, and because that's influenced by the environment still, but drugs most in Uganda, majority youth. Like,
and which kinds of drugs?
Yeah, they do cocaine. I've seen a lot. I don't actually, but some do drugs, and actually it's the case even outside there, and the cybercrime.
What's with the cybercrime, and do we think it's going to actually increase because of the internet penetration in the world?
As I think, as actually, you may find this funny, but it's so. As crime increases, innovation also increases, because we shall have to find a way to halt like theft, to halt those criminal acts and what have you. So me, I wouldn't be so biased with crime. Actually, people always say that we defend our criminals because we're criminal psychologists, but it's not so. Like, it's just understanding life, and so things get better and better. But in Uganda, cybercrime and drugs, majority of the youth are involved into that. There are also some other petty crime that they do, like unlawful assembly and protest. That's influenced by politicians, the selfish ones. And yeah, I think basically those three. The rest are minor, and actually others are general to the public.
No, because of the first one that you talked about, because of we've seen an increase actually in mental health being an issue right now in Uganda, and well, they said there was a headline that about 4 million Ugandans, I think, are mentally ill. Not funny at all, even if I'm smiling, but because of the issues in the environment that these people are coming from. For example, a child that is coming from an environment where domestic violence is sort of okay, because the mom and dad continuously beat themselves up. The child is struggling in school. They don't even have enough money to even have 2 meals a day, you know. And then that child is now put grows up in that. A child that grows up in such an environment is more likely to grow up and do the same things, which same things actually tend towards crime. And then in a few years, that child will be in jail. As a criminal psychologist, how do these people, mostly the ones that come from environments like that, how are we supposed to help them to become decent human beings, regardless of what their past is?
Well, from my view, or from the view of my field, it's not about where one was raised from. Much as the environment influences a lot. And like you said, actually I like the way you put it, they are likely, but they are not born to. We have a lot of programs. Government has put out the programs. The only issue we have, or the challenge, that Uganda don't want to participate. That's the issue.
Why do you think they don't want to participate in something that is supposed to change their lives?
I think there is little information and communication, I told you.
Does that then go back to the government on making sure that sensitization is a big deal?
It's the people that make the government.
Yes,
it starts with me, comes to Sharon, and goes around to everybody. Like I told you, their projects, their initiatives, government has started up very many programs to help the youth, like principal ones from the humble backgrounds, like mine and others out there. What makes a difference, or like how one would actually get help before even the government helps you, would be, I do not know why majority Ugandans don't want to believe this. If I woke up today and I said I don't want to be a criminal, I can choose to work and have the money. I can choose to make a good network so that I can have what I need. I can choose to give a service or get involved anywhere and certainly get paid or rewarded in any way. You understand? But majority Ugandans, and principally the youth, they are ignorant. And it gets worse when one goes to school and attends some level of education. That sense of entitlement. I went to school, I have to get a job. From who? You are the job. You are the community, you are the society that you want, you are the Uganda that you want tomorrow. It starts with you. You understand? But we would not, and actually I wouldn't wish anybody to blame the government about anything that could be.
I don't think people blame the government. It's just that the government has a role to play, regardless of society.
And they have prayed it. They have prayed it. If there are some individuals, or if there are somewhere they haven't fully, you know, performing to the fullest is different. Like in Uganda, if I'm to credit people who have performed to the fullest, I would say the Fountain of Honor,
President Yoweri
Museveni has performed to the fullest. You understand? Do you want the second?
Yes, please.
I won't. But other people, like as a human being, somewhere you need to be pushed, and it's the general public, it's the population, to make sure that these people deliver, because they are there to extend the service to the population. We are the ones who control them. Trust me, if Ugandans woke up and said would not want such and such a person here, you would go, even if you are just appointed by the president. So Ugandans have that power, but in some way or the other, they are ignorant and biased in a way that I believe if the government is to do something about it, they should reinforce on teaching the population about how to network and get out of poverty, because it's really about networking and working. You cannot work when you do not network. What can you do when you have a network?
As a criminal psychologist, what goes in the mind? What goes on in the mind of a criminal, or of someone who wants to participate in a crime?
Well, I studied the environment of criminals, their minds, and like all that are Nani. You know, there are very many cases. I want to make it understandable for the general public, like, because if I use the right technical word, they would not understand it. Like, if Sharon is going to steal my phone from me, Sharon may smile. If someone else, Linda, wants to take it, they may choose to use violent means, or they may set up people and they come grab me or like take. So there are very many ways, or like, so whatever that happens within a person's mind depends on why they are committing the crime, and where they derived because if somebody told me, slap Sharon, and I really have to, I would slap you, but not so much. But if you did something to me and I feel I should slap you, you would feel that slap. It would be heavier. So that's the case also to the criminal minds, or to the criminals. When they are going to commit a crime, some of them, or majority of them, depend on why they are going to do that, and others actually look at the post-time after committing it. If I slapped Sharon, what will happen to me?
Repercussions.
If I did this, what would happen? Like, so the criminal minds are always controlled by the environment, and there's a genetic, but you know, that haven't actually been approved.
Yes.
But there is a consensus that came to that, there is a way genetically humans are supposed to be criminals. All of people, not one person, but everybody. So whatever that goes around in one's minds and what have you, and also the culture, the settings, actually also goes to the environment. So that's why I tried to labor and explain. So the environment shapes everything. Like, suppose our culture says if Sharon came with a watch, it's very okay, or if Sharon came in a dress, it's very okay, and the other committee said it's not okay. So it would also define, yeah. So what constitutes to an offense or something depends on the environment. That's yeah, the technical word I would say.
So in your own opinion, there's no increase in crime in regards the youth haven't actually participated in crime, and there's no increase in crime in Uganda? No, not really. I didn't say that. There are some youth, a number like some youth participating, and actually with influence of parties. I told you what happened and the environment. But in Uganda, with presence of the Magambo and Damulira and what have you, with our Ugandan police, really there is no increase in crime. And our security is one of the best in Africa. So there shouldn't be actually a worry over that. They say it's is it in the glass? Everybody can see. We are doing well. Where there are those few challenges where we've had those crimes, like said, murders and what have you, it is the case everywhere. And what makes us Uganda is we've tried to regulate, and we're doing well. Well, thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for explaining from a criminal psychologist perspective as well. I think that was edifying. My name is Sharon Chomjisha. You've been watching Good Morning Uganda Extra, and tackling the issue of increasing crime rate amongst the youth in Uganda. If you're out there, you can always choose to do something better with your life. You can always choose to think differently, and always sharpen your mind to think about life differently. No matter what is thrown at you, you can choose to look at life in a different way. Have a lovely morning. Bye-bye.